Okay, good morning, everybody. As we go to the Parsha of the day, the Chumash today is the third reading in the Parsha Netzavim, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29, verse number 15. You all know how we lived in the land. And the way we passed amongst the nations that you went through. So Rashi says, since you saw the idolatrous nations, perhaps one might be enticed to follow their ways, or perhaps there's amongst you, therefore I must place you under an oath. You shouldn't be influenced by your surroundings. You saw their abominations, and the repugnant idols, eitz ve'evan, made out of wood and stone, kasav zav, or silver and gold, ashemam, which was with them. So Rashi says, shikutzehem, the idols are so termed because they are disgusting, like creeping, crawling insects. Gilulihem, the idols are just termed because they are putrid and disgusted like dung. Eitz ve'evan, you saw those idols made out of wood and stone out in the open because they were not afraid to put the wooden stones that was on the outside. Did not fear they would be stolen. Thus, regarding these idols, the verse states, you saw these idols of wood and stone. However, we regard to the idols made out of silver and gold, those idols they hid in their, they put it away. They were with them in the confines of the private treasures. They kept it secret, because the goyim, the owners, were afraid of these expensive idols. Here they were idols; they were praying to it, but they're afraid that it might be stolen. Ben yesh b'chem isha, maybe there's a man or a woman, a mishpacha or a family, a shevet or a whole tribe, asher levavei fein hayom, which their hearts are straight today. Me'im Hashem Elokeinu v'kav, Hashem Elokeinu, from God our God, leches la'aved Elokei hagoyim ahem, and their hearts want to serve and worship the other idols, the other gods. Ben yesh b'chem shoresh peira reish v'lana. Amongst you have a root that produces hemlock and wormwood. Now she says, "V'yesh bechem shem yesh bechem." Maybe he's by you. Ashalavav afin hayom, for accepting upon himself the covenant. Sheira perish v'yana. This refers to a root that produces a bitter herb, like gidon, which are bitter. Here the verse means someone who increases evil amongst you. When he's going to hear this oath, but he'll say it in his heart. Lamer, Shalom Yeli, I will have peace. Because I'll do the desires of my heart. In order to add a punishment of the unintentional sins of this man to his intentional sins. So now this Baruch Lashon Baracha. Baruch is a term of blessing. The verse means in his heart this man will imagine a blessing of peace of himself, saying, these curses will not come upon me. I will have peace. I'll go with what my heart desires, meaning if I follow what my heart beholds, as the verse says, I behold Ashrenu, but it's not near. That is to say, the verse means even if I go in the way that my heart fits to do, follow my heart. Because I will add to him the punishment. David says, I'll add to him the punishment what he henceforth committed unintentionally, which I would have overlooked. But now that it is caused that I combine them with the intentional sins and punish him for everything. Similarly, Onkelos renders the verse Bidil lo osfala cheta shotal zedonesa. So that's the Rashi is going with the translation of the Mansvais Harava Tzatzmeya, he's translating like the Unclish translate, that I shall add to him the punishment incurred unintentionally with the intentional. So Rashi, the Harava literally means the drunk here, like the thirsty. Here it explains to mean the unintentional sin which man commits as if he's in a drunken state. So there's a person who does it out of drunkenness, harava, that's drunkenness. Vatzmeya is a person who's, the simple meaning of the verse is somebody who's thirsty. Here it means explained, it refers to one who intentionally sins. Like a person is thirsty, he needs to have it. Intentionally, he does it intentionally, like he needs, not because he has taivus, he can't overcome his desire, but basically it's like drinking water to him. The will not forgive him. Rather, the Lord's fury and his zeal will fume against this man. And will come upon him all these curses that God has written in this book. And God will erase his name from beneath the heavens. Images as follows. Through the anger, the body of a person becomes heated up and fumes are emitted from the nose. It's like it's giving you an analogy of a human being. Similarly, referring to God, the verse says smoke arose from his nose. Not that God has nose, not the smoke. Although this is inappropriate to say about God, since he's no physical form, nevertheless, it describes this concept to a human ear in a manner which is accustomed and able to understand that God gets angry. All these expressions are human expressions. It's thus giving you a human expression, but chas v'shalom, God forbid to say God gets angry and he fumes. These are all human traits. V'kinase l'shechema, kinase zeal is denoting burning fury. Firmly keeping hold to the trait of vengeance without giving in whatsoever. So God also, it's all expression, human expression of vengeance, and all these are human expressions. And the Lord will separate him for evil, and will call Shifta Yisrael for all the tribes of the Jewish nation. According to all the curses of the covenant which is written in this book. So now it says written before, over here is written B'Seif Hazeh, written in this Torah. Hence the word Hazeh is a masculine form. However, earlier it says all the sickness in the place with this Torah scroll B'Sefer Hazois, which is the masculine. So this whole Rashi is a grammar. So when sometimes the Rashi is basically going into, sometimes we do it in a masculine, sometimes it's done in a feminine, and therefore not only is the word different, but also Rashi explains also the sounding of the word, the melody of the word, the ta'amim, which is the melody of the word, is also different because it follows. If you know the grammar, you'll understand why the melody is different in its words. Verse 21. In the later generation, your descendants who will rise after you. And a foreigner from a distant land. And he'll see all the plagues that are hitting the land. As tachlu'el and all its diseases, which God will bring down on the land of Israel. Sulfur and salt have burned up the entire land. It will not be sown and will not grow. Nothing, no grass will sprout upon it. Like they'll look like Sdom and the overturned Sdom and Gomorrah and Admat, which is mentioned in the story of Lot, in which the Lord, which God, which God turned over in his fury and in his rage. That's what's going to happen to Eretz Yisrael, which did happen. And for thousands of years, Eretz Yisrael were laid desolate till the Eden came back to it. Jews came back. The nations of the world say, why did God do this to this land? What is God so angry on this people? And they will say, because they abandoned the covenant with God. Which God made with them when they went out of Egypt. Verse 25. And they went out and they served other gods. And they bowed down to them. A God which you don't know. And he has no portion in them. Which has never recognized any divine powers. Meaning God has not allotted to them these deities to be it should be part of Jewish nation. Because renders that which is not granted them any good. Here the expression lechalak is to me the deity which they would choose for themselves did not apportion to them any inheritance or any portion. Verse 27. And the God's anger raged against the land of Israel, being upon entire curses, is written in this book. Vayitchem, and the Eibush uprooted them from their land, ba'afal b'chema, fury and great anger, b'ketzav gadol and great wrath. Yashlechem l'eretz acheres, and he threw the Jews to another land, chayei mazeh, as it is this day. Now she says, Vayitchem is rendered in tiger v'titilun, he drove them out. Verse 28. Hanastares la'Hashem Elokeinu, the hidden things belong to the God. Hanaglois lanu, but the revealed things are to us. Levanenu, and to our children ad ha'olam forever. La'aseis as kol divrei ha'Torah hazos, that we must fulfill this Torah. Now she says, now you might understanding of this verse. What is the meaning of this verse? How is the continuation really of this verse? So now she says, God, now you might object to God saying, what can I do? You can say to God, what can I do? You punished the entire community because of the sinful thoughts of an individual. As Scripture said, pass amongst you a man. And after this, Scripture continues, seeing the plagues of the land and the disease in which the Lord has struck. So which seems to indicate that this is that you have a sinful thought of a person or a tribe, and the whole land will be struck down in a plague of diseases. So the question is, how am I supposed to know everybody's thoughts? But surely no man can know the secret thoughts of his fellow, that he could somehow prevent this collective punishment. In answer to this, God says, I will not punish you for hidden things. Don't come to that conclusion. Because the hidden things belong to the Lord your God. And he will exact punishment upon the particular individual who has evil thoughts. However, this revealed things apply to us and to our children. That if we are responsible for detecting the sins committed openly in our community, and to eradicate any evil amongst us, and we don't do it, and if we do not execute judgment upon transgressions of which we do have control, then the whole community will be punished, because they did not remiss their responsibility. Because because they would be remiss in their responsibilities. The dot placed on each letter, ulevanenu, lanu v'lanenu, on the Torah. See over here, there's a dot on every word. Why is there a dot on each letter? They put a dot on each letter to teach us homiletically that even for open sins, which were not brought to judgment by God, did not punish the whole community until Israel crossed into Jordan. Because then they accepted upon themselves the oath of Mount Gerizim and Mount Abel. and therefore formally became responsible for one another. Lanu ulevanenu. So they said, we're going to take upon it to make sure to educate our children. And it seems like you didn't educate your children. So you took responsibility, but you didn't fulfill your responsibility. So when the dots are placed in the letters of the Torah, this denotes an exclusion of some sort. In our concept, the Rabbi teaches that the exclusion refers to the period prior to the crossing of the Jordan.
Rabbi.
Yeah? Sorry, I muted you.
What is the word that's got the dots on it?
Lanu, to us and to our children. I put the blue on it. Lanu ulavanenu. To us, and our children.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we now go to the Tanya of the day. Today is the 23rd day of the month. We are holding in the middle of the 16th letter of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe is talking about, started off the chapter, about giving of charity. And it's hard. Alter Rebbe starts off, I know it's very difficult for the concept of giving charity. It's difficult for Jews, even over here in Russia. But nevertheless, they don't have money and they're struggling. I know your struggles, and you struggle day to day, but it doesn't allow us to neglect the mitzvah of tzedakah. Now the above follows the exact requirement of the law. But in fact, however, even in a case where such reason does not fully apply, meaning even when one is called upon to share not luxuries, right? He said the difference when it says you don't have to help somebody else is when you're taking out of the bread out of your mouth. But if you are doing something that you are living, if I'm living in luxury, and I'm saying I need this luxury, you don't need this luxury. You have to help somebody else. That means if you have a piece of bread or 2 pieces of bread, you need to give 1 piece of bread to your fellow. You can't say, oh, but I need 2 pieces of bread. You can live on 1 piece of bread. So even when one is called upon to share not luxury, but one's own slice of bread, or even when the poor men are not crying out for food and clothing, but for other essentials, when it comes to charity, you don't need to be so exact. You can be exact in other. Don't be an accountant when it comes to charity. Be giving. Be more free with giving of charity. Don't become the accountant of yourself. One should push away his own needs and give to others and go above the letter of law. One more, one should be concerned for his own sake with the teaching of our sages of blessed memory, that even in a situation where that which is yours takes precedence over that which belongs to another, he who is exact in this matter and does not go beyond the letter of the law will eventually be brought in this manner. That means the Gemara says that if somebody's so exact that he cannot help somebody else, the Eibishter will flip it over and put him in the situation of a poor person. God forbid. He himself will ultimately need charity. So therefore, never feel that you have to. You're on a situation where you're almost on the receiver. Always be a giver. After all, we all need the mercy of heaven at all times. So we all need God. So therefore, don't think the poor man only needs to have mercy of God. Even though we have more than the poor man, we also need mercy of God. Which are illicit only through arousal from below at all times and every moment. By arousing our compassion, for those who need compassion. So if we can arouse compassion, even though we don't have that much, if we can arouse compassion to continue to be the giver on those that seriously are in need, that's an unbelievable thing. But whoever hardens his heart and suppresses his compassion, I don't care what reason it might be, what happens is he causes above to suppress the divine compassion. Chas v'shalom. God forbid. All this, however, affects only the future. The Rebbe, however, notes at the present, causing one to give until the recipient is equal with you. There's, however, an aspect of tzedakah that affects the past. And the Rebbe adds, causing one to give to an even a greater degree than he keeps himself, since this is the secure to rectification and atonement of the past sins. So if we give, the Rebbe writes on this, if you give, we kovish ourselves and we break ourselves to give more than we have, more than we're even capable to give, that not only affects the present, it affects the past. It rectifies the sins of the past. We learned this in the Tanya a couple of days ago. After all, furthermore, there's no righteous person upon the earth who does good always and does not sin. And therefore, everybody, whether he's a tzaddik or he's a simple person, needs to give tzedakah. But tzedakah mechaperes meginim and aparanis, and tzedakah atones and protects against misfortune and the like. Ulazois, and therefore tzedakah yifus haguf and nefesh mamish. Tzedakah cures the body and cures the soul. Asher ba'ad with respect, is written skin for skin, a limb for a limb. That's the power of tzedakah, a limb for a limb. And all that a man has, he will give for his soul to save his life. How much more does this apply when we are believers, the sons of believers? The fact that charity ain't the fact that charity is nothing other than a loan. This is a very interesting thing, that we are loaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because really the Eibishter needs to give everybody their needs. God, I'm zonim v'fanes lakel. The Eibishter needs to give everybody his parnasa. So I'm loaning God. I'm giving a loan to God by helping somebody else. I'm loaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which he needs to do himself. I'm giving him a loan, so he's going to pay back the loan. He who is gracious unto the poor lends to God. And he will pay him in good deed. V'kaflayim twofold. The Eibush will pay him double. Forget about the world to come, his mitzvah. But he'll repay him, because the Eibush he thus became a borrower. He became a borrower for me that gave tzedakah. And he's going to pay me. That's why there's only mitzvah where God says, try me out, that I'll repay you. Because we know that there's one thing that a person should always do is to repay his loans. So, just like God commands a person to repay his loans, the Eibishter repays his loans. The only difference between God and us, when we repay our loans, we're not going to pay with interest. By us, God gives us double and triple. Skal mitzvah be'elam hazeh. For the performance of none of the commandments is rewarded in this world. There's no, right? Really, the reward of every commandment is in the world to come. Besides one mitzvah, levad mitzvah. Besides charity, God also repays you in this world. If you should tov labri, because tzedakah is good for the world. It's brought down in the Gemara in Kedushin. And also, one should be concerned about punishment. When other people get involved to help, and he does not become part of the charitable. When people come together to collect money, when it's for a person or for oneself, and he's not counted as part of the ones who gave, it can have a negative effect. So this would be a case where one is absent oneself when other members of the community would join forces for the sake of a charitable cause. Is known from the words of the sages, who teach that standing aside in such circumstances, in an instance of absence from which one cannot again be counted. That's why it says, whenever a person's asked, give him tzedakah. May life be pleasant for those who give heed. And let God bless them with all kindness. And anything that is good. May God act good to those that are good and upright. As their wish, and as it is the wish of the writer, me, I am the writer, who seek their welfare with all his heart and all his soul. And that completes the 16th letter of the Alter Rebbe. Today is the 23rd day of the month, and the chapters of Tillim today are 108, 109, 110, 111, 112. So from 108 to 112 in Tillim is the chapters of the day. Also, since today is the 23rd day of the month, it is chapter 67, 68, and 69. 67, 68, and 69. I wish you all a beautiful and happy day. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you in Mitchell tomorrow at 8 a.m.